This is Klay Thompson with the ball on the perimeter. They say he's washed. They say he ain't the same. They say he's not worth his contract no more. Well, look at this play here. He dribbles down his man, then in a split second, and without any wasted motion, he pulls up for a three with the defender in his face and hits nothing but net. Splash, splash, butter, baby. The entire NBA community was watching Klay do his thing here when he dropped 42 points without a single two-point field goal. Sheesh. And with that being said, let me reassure you of something you may or may not already know. Despite Durant getting traded to the Suns, despite the Celtics and the Bucks looking quite formidable in the East, despite Nikola Jokic being well on his way to winning his third consecutive MVP trophy, the NBA is still terrified, absolutely terrified, of the Golden State Warriors. Just before we start this video, I just wanted to let you all know that we listened to your advice and got some sheesh t-shirts. If you want to check them out, the link's down below. And without further ado, let's do this. Weapons, weapons, and more weapons. You can criticize the Warriors all day about how they've been playing defense this season, but if there's something the Warriors don't lack, it's their ability to go out there and get buckets. If you haven't heard already, Klay Thompson has recently entered a cheat code to enable Splash Brother mode, and as a result, he has NBA teams shook. I mean, ever since Steph Curry first got that shoulder injury until today, which spans 26 games, Klay has been hotter than fish grease. Look at this. 25 points a night, 45% from the field, 43% from three-point range, and 91% at the free throw line. Those are some superstar statistics, and Charles Barkley should be absolutely embarrassed for calling Klay washed because look, when it comes to pure points production, Klay's recent stretch of 26 games has him averaging about just as many points as Barkley did in his MVP season back in '93. But anyway, here is where things get scary. How are any team supposed to defend against Klay Thompson when Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins eventually make their return? I mean, Steph Curry is averaging nearly 30 points a game on shooting splits of about 50, 40, and 90, and Wiggins, on the other hand, when push comes to shove, can outplay stars like Tatum and Brown as evident from last year's finals. So let me ask you that question again. How do you defend against Klay when Steph and Wiggins are back? Well, the short answer is you can't. And the long answer is you just gotta hope they miss their shots. I mean, I'm just going to refer back again to the 2022 NBA Finals. Everybody and their cousin was saying that Celtics team was one of the best defensive teams in the last 2 decades with their size, length, and athleticism, but if my memory serves me right, the Warriors sliced through them like they were pudding. Like pudding! And the crazy thing is, Klay wasn't even at 100% back then. But anyway, Klay's recent superstar performances have been covering up the fact that Kuminga has officially turned into a beast. I mean, did y'all see this nasty throwdown he had against the Trailblazers? Oh my goodness. You know, Draymond Green said last year that in order for us to go far, Kuminga is going to have to play a part in that he just has some things that none of us other guys bring to the table. And while last season we were only able to see flashes of what Draymond was trying to tell us, as of late, we've been seeing it about 20 minutes a night. I mean, look at these numbers, guys. Ever since the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve, JK has been putting up 10 points a game on 50% shooting from the floor, 43% from three-point range, while often defending the opposing team's best player. Losing Otto Porter was a big hit for the Warriors, but if Kuminga can be consistent in how he's been playing, then as a weapon coming off the bench in the playoffs, that's absolutely terrifying. But moving on here. Bigs is what some Grizzly fans might be saying now, that the lack of size for the Warriors is ultimately going to cost them in this year's playoffs. I mean, their tallest player at the moment is 6'9" Kevon Looney, and 6'9" isn't tall in the NBA by any stretch. Heck, LeBron is even 6'9". So the truth is, the Warriors do indeed lack a tall center who could block shots on one end and get easy buckets on the other end. But to say that a lack of size is going to cost the Warriors just isn't true. Not one bit. I mean, just look back towards last year again. Everybody was saying the exact same thing about Golden State and their lack of size, but look what happened. They won it all. They literally ran through the playoffs with a 6'9" Kevon Looney and made it look easy. So given that, how is a lack of size supposed to be a problem now when it wasn't then? Anyway, next off, you might be talking about their defense. The Warriors' defense this year has been atrocious to watch. And when I say atrocious, I mean like nearly all-star defense atrocious, but here's why I'm not worried about it. A big part of the Warriors' defensive success last year was Andrew Wiggins, and of course the tallest 6'3" guard in the world, Gary Payton II. Well, this season, Wiggins has been out for like half the season because of injuries and personal reasons, and the young glove on the other hand has just been recently reacquired by the Warriors and is currently nursing his own injury. But according to the Warriors front office, before the playoffs start, Wiggins is going to be back at full strength, and so is GP2. And you know what they say about him, right? Dribble at your own risk. Anyway, last year the Warriors were first in the league when it came to defensive ratings, and while the loss of Mike Brown isn't small by any measures, I'm sure that when healthy, this 2023 Warriors team is still capable of being an elite defensive team. So let's condense this a bit and see if y'all are seeing just why the NBA is still terrified of the Warriors. First off, look at these statistics that I pulled off NBA.com. As of today, even with all the roster issues to start the year and with all the injuries that have been plaguing them all season, the Warriors still find themselves as the second highest scoring team in the NBA at 118.3 points. Then, as for defense, like I just stated, they were the number one rated defensive team last year, and when Wiggins and Payton are back in the lineup, the Warriors still have the ability to be an elite defensive team. Then when it comes to experience, they're being coached by someone who has 9 rings. And other than LeBron James, no players have more playoff experience than Steph, Klay, and Draymond. So when you take the context of all these together, can you see why teams are terrified at the thought of playing Golden State in the playoffs? Some of y'all might be saying that Steve Kerr is having an off year, that he's playing Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome too much, but honestly, it's only because Curry and Wiggins have been MIA. Once those two get back, the rotation is likely going to be Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Looney at the starting 5. Then coming off the bench are Poole, DiVincenzo, Payton, and Kuminga. That's already a playoff 9-man rotation. So as you can see, the Warriors are going to be a completely different animal when the postseason arrives. Forget about what Kerr is doing right now, because the truth is, despite all the quote-unquote bad coaching that he's getting heat for, the Warriors are actually tied for the 5th seed. But, you know, it's at times like this that I wish they didn't choke away those 5 to 8 games that should have been wins, like that game against the Jazz where they were up by like 4 points with 7 seconds left. I mean, if they won those games, they'd be like the 2nd seed right now. But anyway, that's beside the point. In the playoffs, when it's all about X's and O's, what Western Conference team would you actually bet on to beat the Warriors in a 7-game series? Nikola Jokic has been getting exposed in high pick-and-roll situations in his past 2 playoff years. The Phoenix Suns, on the other hand, are being led by a soon-to-be 38-year-old point guard who was exposed by the Mavericks last season. The Los Angeles Clippers have been cursed since their inception. I mean, I don't wish injury upon anybody, but Kawhi Leonard is only 1 knee bump away from load management. I think the question to ask at this point in time is, where would you put Steph Curry on the all-time great list if he wins his 5th ring and 2nd Finals MVP this season?